All right. So typically what I do is I'll just make a slight introduction and then we'll get into it. I like to get kind of where you grew up and a little bit of your upbringing, maybe what you thought you were going to do, and then we'll talk about what changed that and what you're doing now.
Hell
But
yeah.
man, those scars were gnarly. So the pictures.
Oh, thank you, man. Well, thanks. Unfortunate, but needed for me.
Right.
Hey, go. Asteroid of fear.
It's one of those things that's oh, I saw that and I was like, "Mm, what's the story behind that?
Yeah.
And what is it, you know, what does it feel like?"
Yeah. Quite a journey, man. With, I guess, where my upbringing sort of starting before that event that happened in my life that sort of flipped the switch was me growing up in a normal family. For the most part, didn't really have to ask for much. Everything was, taken care of. Didn't really have a ton of hardships, no real problems growing
Right.
up. And that could have been maybe part of my issue, maybe being entitled and or just not going through any real adversity myself, which I guess got me looking for trouble.
Where did you grow
Uh,
up?
so I grew up. So I currently live just outside of Richmond, Virginia, but I grew up in a place called Tappahannock, Virginia. And the only thing really that people might notice from there is Chris Brown came from there, the rapper.
Oh, okay. And what kind of an environment is it? Is it rural? What do people do there? Do people go to DC? Like, is that where the kids go to get in trouble? Kind of what's the scoop? Because I know it's interesting. I'm from Texas and
Yeah,
I had a friend who I went to ROTC with, and when he was in grad school at the Pentagon, he lived in Virginia. And, at that time I was looking at potentially medical school at University of Maryland. And you can hop on some, the metro, the mark, some cabs, and you can go across multiple places all
yeah,
in the span of a day. And that's kind of that context of, I grew up in a rural place where it was pasture parties and maybe seeking what you saw on TV. But yeah, what was the environment like there and what was going on at that time as you were growing up?
yeah. So almost like you're saying, where you grew up from, very rural, a lot of
Okay.
farming, like a couple local businesses type of deal. My graduating class had like 98 people, under 100 people in it,
Yeah,
so very
me too.
small community. Um, and so there's multiple factors I believe that got me to this identity or this place of losing happiness in the same place I was looking for it. In that the earlier 20s, mid 20s of my life. And it started off from me moving down to Tappahannock when I was young, started going to school down there, but my parents didn't want me to go to the public school because it was such a rural, like small,
Yeah.
podunk type of school. They actually sent me to private school. Again, really didn't have a ton of real problems growing up as far as doing things and having options. And went to private school from maybe sixth grade up till 10th grade. And in that private school, K through 12, there was a total of 40 people. So
Wow.
might have been like three people close to my age in that entire school. And I was dating the only girl that was my age in that school. Kind of forced,
Yeah.
limited options in that. But my parents decided to let me go back to public school for my 11th and 12th grade year. And I felt, looking back now, I feel like I felt that I had lost a lot of ground as far as like being popular, being noticed in school and stuff like that. So I wanted to become the popular guy, the guy. How
Yeah.
do you do that? My thought process was I'm going to be the one that throws the parties. I'm going to be the party guy.
Mm.
I'm going to be known. I'm going to try and get out
Yeah.
there. So obviously, weekend after weekend, party after party, living Thursday through Sunday through high school. Just not even really passing high school. Bribed some of my classes through that, bringing my teacher's shit just to get C's to pass the
Wow.
classes type of deal. Like totally a different guy back then, man. And just
Yeah.
because I thought like, I don't know, what's the point? I'm just trying to have some fun. I'm just trying to be popular. I'm just trying to have fun. Uh, I didn't really have any goals or purpose or passion like a lot of my classmates did of like, oh, I want to do this when I grow up. I want to go to school for this.
Now, did you have any goals or passion when you were at the private school? Was it different?
No.
Okay, because
But I did better there as far as academics, but
in
no really
terms of
goal.
it wasn't guiding you any which way, so it wasn't necessarily, you were getting the education piece, but I guess you were missing that social
Yeah.
piece that public school kind of had to offer. And the thing is I guess, I mean, you could be the man at the private school too, but you know, um, what does that mean as compared to what it means at a public school, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, there was only two other, like I said, two or three other people my age in that private school. So it's like, I mean, there
Yeah.
wasn't really much to do. I mean, we knew everything about each other. And I think it just fueled whatever I was looking for, which wasn't returning anything to me back then. But me being around that many people and wanting to be noticed, wanting to be popular, the guy,
Yeah.
having fun, it threw fuel to it. And again, it was my choices that got me into that situation. I could have just focused on school and really dove into how could I make my life better and my future better. But at the time,
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way. I was 10 foot tall, bulletproof, and I was a rock star. So at least I thought.
Yeah.
I guess every young guy does.
And so no direction, no purpose. And for me, I guess it's weird because like I grew up quite opposite in terms of like I graduated high school year early, like I could not wait to get out of here. And of course
Yeah,
this was the 90s. And so, you know, it's almost like the internet pre-inception, my brain of going, I know there's more out there and I need to get to it. And kind of all it did was it kept me maybe at bay and from going off the rails here because I didn't want to jeopardize my opportunity to get out of here.
yeah,
But then of course once I was in the mix, oh, it was a nightmare, because then
yeah,
you
yeah,
then you have complete and total freedom. And I went to Japan and was 18, had my 19th birthday there, and of course they didn't have a drinking age, and or it was 18 probably. And
yeah,
so it was a damn hot mess, what
yep,
it did for me. But yeah, so partying weekend after weekend.
yeah.
um
So I
what
really wasn't thinking past the weekends. Like
Yeah.
for some people, they're thinking about getting out and moving on. Like, how do I get out of here? Mine was, what are we doing this Thursday? What are we doing this Friday? And that was all. That was. I didn't think about where I'm going, what I'm doing, what's going on this coming weekend. That's all I was focused on.
Man, now were you doing, I assume your grades were too poor to do athletics? I mean, because you're into fitness now, but what was your
Yeah,
fitness drive? Did you have any of that? I mean, were you kind of, some people will curb their appetite for these things enough just to play sports.
yeah.
Were you athletic and into sports and stuff back then?
No, I was not. I looked up to the guys that played sports, baseball, football, wrestling. Those guys were jacked. I remember them all being huge back in high
Hmm.
school. It's like, damn, I was a string bean, 150 pounds myself back then, and I don't know, I didn't really have any care for it. Even though I knew that like those guys were popular, I could get those guys to come to my parties.
Ah.
I mean, that's all I was. I mean, that's a lot of my world revolved around just getting people together and getting people near me, around
Yeah.
me, and doing that. But I did grow up playing hockey in my younger years. But when we moved to Tappahannock, that rural area, there was no hockey rinks, no ice hockey, no roller hockey. So I pretty much gave that up, and I got into skateboarding. That's something I did for quite a few years, and got pretty good at it. But was a thing that I could do solo, so I didn't have to like
Yeah. It doesn't
worry
require you
about.
to be jacked.
Yes, and it just gave me something to do. But again, my attention faded away from that, and obviously got into the partying with it, and I pretty much gave that up. But no, my grades definitely probably weren't good enough to play sports either. I don't remember my GPA, but it was probably right below a 3. It was probably like a 2.7, just barely
Yeah.
enough to graduate. And before I remember my grade average before I went to the public schools was like right below a 4. It was like a 3.7. So
Yeah.
it dropped tremendously when I went to public school. And yeah, but I didn't really, again, it wasn't, I didn't have any focus outside of the weekends, Thursday through Sunday. And even during the weekdays, if there was an opportunity to do something and skip a class and go fuck off, that's what I did.
Yeah.
I did not, I didn't care. And I just thought that like it would never end. Like I would never come to an ending of that, which
Hmm.
I don't know. Thinking back, it was just dumb of me that I eventually I'd have to grow out of that. But I just was living it up while I could, I guess. But weekend after weekend, that led to me going deeper and deeper into drinking and taking it further and further and getting blacked up many nights. And one night I went to a party. I remember it was on a beach and there was a bonfire and a ton of people there. And I just don't remember the night. I woke up in the hospital. And this is sort of jumping straight into this event that happened. It was
Is
May
this in
9th.
high school or did you
After
graduate?
high school. Yeah,
Okay.
after I graduated. And I was in community college down there for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then this happened. And when I was going to community college, same thing.
Okay.
If there's an opportunity to skip class, I'm out. Just going for a general education like arts
Now
and
was
science.
that kind of like parents, or was there any ulterior kind of like, well, there's chicks there and I can party too? And
What, in college?
yeah, what factored into actually going to community college? If you didn't
Uh,
really have any inspiration, motivation, were you
I guess
working?
I was working a little bit. I was doing odds and ends, helping, being a
Yeah.
helper, a tool fetcher type of deal, enough
Okay.
to get a couple bucks for the weekend. And but the only factor that I guess that made me show up is knowing that I'd get chewed out by my parents if I didn't show up at least a couple times and like show some type of progress. So
Yeah.
I got my attendance points. I did a couple projects here and there, but again, if there was any inclination of like, oh, we could go do this instead of going to class, most likely I was going to ditch class. And again, I just thought I could ride that out as long as I could. But went to that party that one night and got blacked out drunk. Don't remember leaving. Supposedly, I had a good couple friends there that saw me at the party, and they were like, "Hey, just 1 minute you were there, and 1 minute you weren't." I guess I decided to get in my car and go home. I wanted to go get my own bed, sort of late at night, one of those parties, and made it about a mile away from the house. Ran off the road. I don't remember this wreck at all. This is just all via the state police telling me about like my tracks in the road and what it looked like. Is that I had tried to hang a curve too fast, ran off the road, spun out, flipped, and one of the people's front yards that I landed in, they heard the noise at like 3 or 4 in the morning, came out, saw my car just sitting there idling and me just hanging half out of it, pulled me out of it, called 911. Obviously, first responders pulled me out, took me to the local hospital, and I was supposed to be very belligerent and very mean to people and not
Yeah.
saying not nice things, which
It happens. I
it
worked in a
happened.
level one trauma center and I've gone for ride-alongs with EMS and
Yeah.
yeah, it I people and if you're not violent, I guess, and you don't hurt
Yeah.
anyone, that's kind of the biggest point, but it's really, for any listeners out there, if EMS you ever interact with them and they ask you kind of like what you took, what you're on, do not be afraid to tell them.
Yeah.
They are there to help you. All they really care about is your well-being and safety. Even if you're a little belligerent, I can assure you, all the ones pretty much that I've run into, they're the core of that is kind of whatever. It's like, hey, let's take care of this person.
For sure. And full circle, to jump forward a little bit into the story, but I'll come back. Is I eventually ended up meeting all those first responders
Uh-huh.
and nurses and doctors that took care of me at that local hospital because through all that trouble, I had to go through a lot of community service. My community service was done at a fire department where I met and had
Uh-huh.
to do hundreds of hours of community service for this. And so I met a lot of people and decided that I didn't have a passion or purpose back then. So I decided to go into uh, EMT paramedic
Yeah.
and started to do clinicals at that local hospital and had to meet and apologize to a lot of them and actually became good friends with them after time. So circled back to me making connections that I didn't realize I would have down the road.
Making connections. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody definitely knew of me, but so they weren't able to handle me at that local hospital. So they sent me off to one in Richmond as a trauma center up here. and they realized that I had ruptured my intestines and like broken my legs, obliterated my legs from the knees down, and a few other fractures throughout my body. And the biggest point, or the biggest emergency of it all, was just my ruptured intestines, of the
Blood
peritonitis.
loss
Yeah, that was going to
and
happen as well.
infection,
Yeah,
sepsis.
sepsis. So they ripped me open from like sternum down to pubic bone area, and
And go look at the pictures, guys,
yeah,
on his website,
yeah,
GymFlo Training. And
yeah,
there's going to be links to it, but I can assure you, I saw the pictures and I was like, oh, because sometimes like you accept interviews and like you go through and and then you have some on there. And sometimes I'll look back and I go, what was it about this guy that I wanted to know about? And I saw
yeah.
that picture and I go, oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it was like a football size hole in my stomach,
Yeah.
and that was a big eye opener and like a twilight zone of me getting to that hospital and sort of coming to,
Hmm.
because I guess they knocked me out once I landed at that trauma center, and I came to a couple days later and woke up, foggy, groggy, still doped up with morphine or whatever they're giving me, and I look down and I see this gaping hole in my stomach, and I'm like, holy shit, man, this is real.
Yeah.
And my both my legs were locked in straight like soft casts, and they were like, hey, your legs are just smashed. We haven't even begun to work on those, and we will over the next couple of days, but right now we're just trying to get this infection under control, and we're leaving you open with this wound vac for a couple of days to try and suck out stuff, and if we need to go back in, just leaving you open. And they pretty much just like took like saran wrap and just wrapped
Yeah.
around my stomach, and that was all that was holding my guts in. Pretty much was like saran wrap and this little black sponge that was inside my stomach, which is kind of crazy. Anyways, spent about 6 weeks in that hospital in the ICU,
What,
and
well, besides, oh shit, this is serious.
yeah,
What other, what other thoughts did you have? Did you, did you have any faith previously? Did it do anything to your faith? Did you make any prayers? I'm not going to drink anymore. This is serious. Any of that, and kind of also, what was your parents' reactions and what kind of heart to hearts did you have with them?
yeah, yeah. I will say, like the first couple of weeks, I was just so in and out of it that I didn't really have a clear thought about it all. It was just every time my eyes would open, it just reaffirmed that this is real, and
Yeah.
I would have like a few moments to like just be like, holy crap, and still hoping that I would go back to sleep and wake up and think it was like a twilight, like a dream. um but as far as faith, I didn't have much to lean into back then, and obviously they had the chaplain come in many times and talk to my family, talk to me, which isn't a good sign, and they were like, just trying to talk me through it and get my feelings about it all. And I didn't, during this whole time, I didn't think, it's very bullish of me, or very just a dummy of me, thinking that I was going to make it through no problem. Like that, I didn't think I was going to die, even though everything around me was adding up that like this infection
Right.
wasn't stopping. It was only getting worse because they kept me opening me back up. And they're like, hey, this is kind of the last time we're going to open you up. And I remember they were in the room with me and my mom and some of my family in there. And they were like, hey, we're going to open you up one more time, try and clean you out. And this is kind of it, I
Yeah.
was, I just was like, there's no way. I don't know. It was weird because I was so drugged up that I didn't really have a
Yeah.
real clear thought back then. But once I made it through some of that, and while I was still in that hospital a few weeks later, maybe like my last 2 weeks there, uh, I realized that something obviously was looking out for me and wanted to maybe give me this lesson that I had to learn the hard way, and not that it was saying that you know I needed to be here, but I needed to learn this lesson
The value of
the hard
life,
way.
the value
Yeah,
of your life.
yeah.
Maybe because maybe you thought there was no value, which is,
I
you
think
know,
so.
if you don't,
I think so.
you're not going to engage in those behaviors if you see value. I mean, I'm a father. It's like I'm not
Yeah,
going to tell my kids to go out and do shit that's harmful to them because I value them. But,
yeah.
oftentimes, especially as men, young boys trying to find our identity, trying to find what's important,
That's true.
um, we, yeah, we look at the wrong things.
Yeah,
But we definitely tend to value others. And, part of that is it's weird because you talk about, I can see the desire. Um, you have lack. You didn't play in team sports and stuff because that camaraderie and bond amongst other males is important too. I started playing Little League at a very young age. But interestingly enough, just like military people who leave and have tough times transitioning because whether it's the camaraderie and teamwork, you almost didn't have it, lack thereof, and were seeking it. And both actually lead to kind of destructive behavior, whether
Yeah.
you've had the team and felt it or not.
Yeah.
It's that chasing of what we need, other men, and connection, and purpose and identity, and to show that we are valuable to ourselves because oftentimes we find value by our contributions to the team,
Yeah.
you know? And so, and oftentimes we will go above and beyond and sacrifice ourselves for the team, but we never find ourselves valuable enough to do it for ourselves.
100%. Yeah,
So,
I didn't like myself back then for
so
sure. I
crazy.
looking back, no, I did not. Um, and I think that's why I was chasing all these things that were taking my happiness. Like I said, I was losing happiness in these places that I was looking for it, and I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like a negative feedback cycle. Like you do it because it makes you feel good, like falsely, and then it makes you feel worse after it. So you do it again to like chase. I'm almost like a drug addict, maybe. Like you're chasing this thing that's empty, and it was obviously sabotaging me, pulling me backwards. And yeah, I didn't have a passion or purpose, nothing like a North Star to like aim towards. So I felt aimless. I felt maybe purposeless, like you said, or, worthless. And I know deep down back then, I didn't like myself, even though I portrayed and was the popular guy. I
Yeah.
didn't. And it's because I wasn't doing anything to make myself feel better about me. I wasn't, doing these physical activities or doing these self-inflicted adversity things that gave me purpose, gave me contentment, and built me. And I think that's what sort of over the past decade now or more, plus since then that I've implemented like daily habits that have built me and built contentment within me and realizing that I don't need those. I don't need those other factors or those vices or things to make me feel good about me. I
Yeah.
can do actionable things that make me feel good, and also being an example makes me feel good. And I think for my scenario, after going through this wreck
Hmm.
and literally having to start from scratch, curling Gatorade bottles in a wheelchair at the rehab center after I left the hospitals.
Man.
Like building myself back up. I was into fitness zero before this wreck, and realized how good it made me feel to build myself and build a habit of doing that daily because that's all I had to do, and that's what I had to do to get out of that rehab center was to build myself back up. I had to walk out of there; they weren't going to let me leave, and day after day, I felt that much better about myself. My confidence, my self talk, my belief in myself was built through daily action. It wasn't
Well,
through like hoping and
yeah.
affirmations. It was like, all right, damn, today I showed up. I didn't feel like it. I did it. I can walk through walls. I feel
So,
like I
so
could.
it was the action you said that built it, but let's go back just a touch
Yeah,
where you talked about you kind of got that lesson of, oh, maybe I'm supposed to be here. And I talked about maybe that's where you found I'm valuable somehow, some way. I don't know how, but we're
yeah,
going to figure this out. And you were kind of able to figure it out through the process of rebuilding yourself. Um, Through physical therapy and
yeah.
everything else. Um, yeah, what I'm certain your parents and everybody was supportive. What was it about other than building yourself and seeing that how that happened? Do you think it was did you get some outside encouragement of course from your therapist, your parents, but I'm trying to think. I had a thought for a second and it fled on me.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I, I just, I
Oh, the
felt,
learning. Was it the learning like how you're building it through the process, kind of that was the purpose, and that kind of latched on and gave you the momentum because you were
I
now
guess
learning
so.
something, and all of a sudden, like you're
Yeah.
interested in something and you never really have been.
Yes. I think that was a part of it, but deep down, looking back and thinking about it, I felt I felt good about myself.
Uh-huh.
I began to like myself when I was working on myself. However
Hmm.
selfish that may be, I began to build contentment within me, like started to like me because I was doing these positive, actionable habits. Whether it was just getting in my wheelchair and riding around, and instead of just sitting in the bed all day, like that made me feel good, and I leaned into those feelings, and I didn't have this goal of even after I left the rehab center, like, oh, I'm going to be a personal trainer, I'm going to be a coach.
Yeah.
I got back into other odds and ends jobs after I left that, but working out became something that I tried to make a regular thing, or at least exercising.
How long did it take? How long was this process to get from gaping wound to walking?
So the wreck happened May 9th, 2010, which was actually Mother's Day of
Oh.
that year. So great gift to her.
Mm.
And I think like end of July, beginning of August, I was leaving the rehab center, able to like walk with crutches, like the ones that go around your elbows type of
Yeah.
deal. And by the end of August, like the end of summer, I was back pretty much taking care of myself, get myself off the toilet, stuff like that, showering.
People
So I
take
guess
that
like
stuff for granted because
oh, dude.
my wife and I did live in caregiving,
Oh
and we
shit.
had a 97-year-old veteran that he had broken his kneecap like a year before and had to
Yeah.
learn how to walk again. And he went in for bursitis, his elbow. And of course, when you're in rehab for your elbow, that doesn't call for ambulation necessarily. And they just didn't ambulate him enough, and he lost his ability to walk. And that meant, and then strength to transfer to the toilet. And I mean, people think that that's like this minor thing, but no, what that means is, guess what? You're going to have to rely on someone else for all your bathroom needs.
Everything.
Now, if you're unwilling to take a dump in front of somebody, like in boot camp, or even fart in front of somebody, then guess what? You need your health and your basic mobility. And when people say health is wealth, it's these small things because, not only could he not emulate, now he has to rely on other people for all of his care needs. And and then that takes away a spirit. And
Gosh, it does.
so and so, it's much more than just you think, well, I can wipe my ass, I'm fine. Well, it can go from I can to I can't, and a lot of other things that go with it real quick.
Yes. I think that was another. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that I just don't take into consideration until you bring them up like that. That was a big factor of me. Oh, I need to get my shit together so I can start taking care of
Yeah.
myself, because there was months, at least 2.5 months of me being bedbound, where every day somebody had to come in. Well, during the hospital, yeah, they put a little bucket under you and you just took a dump in that. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't like, for me, at least the position I was in, they'd roll me over, put the bucket in the middle of my bed, roll me back over top of it. And then when I'm done, call for them. They come in, wipe me and everything. It was not,
Yeah.
you figure out like you let go of any type of embarrassment very quickly in that. It is what it is. I mean, a hose coming out my dick for months with a catheter, and they would come
Hmm.
in, pull it out, change it, and it's, I mean, you're like, holy, and I woke up and all that stuff was already in. So it's
Very
like, what the
vulnerable.
hell? Yeah.
Very
um,
vulnerable.
and even when I got to the rehab center, there's many times where I'd say, hey, I need to go to the bathroom. Somebody have to come in, put me in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
I go into the bathroom. They'd help me get off the wheelchair into the toilet. I mean, it's just things that you don't take into consideration, which hopefully nobody has to.
Right.
You just take care of yourself and you're not a dummy like me. But that was a big factor. I'm sure that led me to getting my things together and building strength. And that was a short term factor, but long term, I knew how good it made me feel. But nonetheless, learning how to walk again with them parallel bars. I mean, like I said, there's pictures and plenty of pictures of me in a wheelchair where they would pull me up, or I would pull myself up to like a cable machine, lock my wheelchair in place, and just start doing stuff. And I didn't know what I was doing back then. I just knew that I needed to do something, and it was better than me sitting in bed, because a lot of people in this rehab center, you'd roll past the room and they would just sit in their bed for all day.
Is there like a
And
factor of like, I want to see how far I can take this now? Once
for
you
sure.
got to a certain point, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, let's see what I can do now that I actually want to, because I've lived
Yes.
in neglect for so long, neglect of
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm sure the first couple days and or weeks that I was in that rehab center, I lived there for 2 months for about 8 weeks. So, got to know a lot of people there and built some of those good habits throughout that 2 month stint. But the first couple of weeks, yeah, I was like pulling teeth to get me out of bed. But once I started to regain my independence a little bit and started to see the increase in my strength, and again, it was more so, I think a lot more mental for me, a lot of mental mindset built grit, fortitude, perseverance that was built within me during those times of that contentment and just feeling good about myself, knowing that like, these actions were building me and eventually going to get me out of here. And hopefully, I don't know, I was just going to lean into them and I knew that they made me feel good. And the other things that I used to do weren't making me feel so good. I mean,
Yeah.
it was that type of simple thinking for me.
Yeah, and so you get out, you say you start, you're doing odds and ends jobs again, but you
Yep.
keep fitness as a routine. Um, do you do anything like so you end up you now do coaching, both
Yep.
mindset and or physical. So
Yep.
before we get to that point, were you doing anything to challenge yourself like marathons, bodybuilding, kind of precursors to deciding to do this full time?
Yes. So during that stint of me leaving the rehab center, I got a job at a local gym, a mom and pop gym, front
Oh,
desk position.
cool.
It gave me a free gym membership, and back then I was obviously dead broke
Yeah.
already. So I was like, all right, perfect. Score free gym membership, making a couple bucks, and it's something that I know that's making me feel good, so I can lean into it even heavier, and it gives me a good habit or a good hobby to get away from
And
the
the
old
people.
things. Oh yeah, 100%. Met a lot of people during that time, learned a lot. Because again, I didn't know anything about. I just would go in the gym and just throw shit around, not knowing
Yeah.
what I'm doing. And so I was there for a couple years, that front or for that gym, a few different positions, and during that time, met a lot of people and some, I guess, quote unquote mentors that were either had been training bodybuilding themselves or just overall just had a ton of experience and knowledge. So from them, I got the itch to want to push my physical capabilities a little bit more and began to fall in love with that process of building myself, bodybuilding, and got into bodybuilding
Oh, cool.
around 2013. Competed a couple times and realized that I didn't like competing, but I liked bodybuilding. I don't like
Yeah.
the process of the trunks and the tanning and the posing, but
Well, and
I
a lot
like
of people don't realize too, I guess, when you're getting up on stage, you look your best, but you're the unhealthiest because of
yeah,
everything you're doing
yeah.
to get for that small window. My brother-in-law's competed, my business coach, podcasting coach, they've all competed. And so, yes, like you said, they love the bodybuilding and constructing your body, but the competition part of it, unless you're pro for money and that's
Yeah.
feeding your family and you're willing to do all that, it's brutal.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of from the outside looking in, a lot of people don't realize how many hours. I mean, throughout your day, your daily life, outside of any job or life obligations, it's very time consuming. Definitely selfish because if you have family, kids, wife, whatever, it pulls a lot of time from a lot of things. Because it's not a 9 to 5 thing for bodybuilding. It's around the clock if you want to be good at it.
The eating
And
alone, my
yeah,
brother-in-law, like one time he said something, I can't remember. He's like, well, like just spending an hour like trying to prepare and eat breakfast, like
yeah,
12 eggs and all
yeah,
this other stuff. It's brutal.
yeah. Yeah, the food alone is probably the most time consuming, and then the training daily. I mean, it's a multifaceted thing, and I enjoy lifting, I enjoy building myself, but yeah, the competing thing just wasn't for me. And but I leaned into that even more after I competed a couple times in the earlier years, and was like, all right, well, I'm not really doing anything job wise with the gym, and I also picked up another job doing some like data collecting for some lawyers, some law firms, just paying the bills type of job. And I was like, all right, well, that's starting to slow down. I don't know what I want to do, but I know that I like lifting. I like what it's done for me. I like how it's transformed my life. That's something I can at least do. And I know even if I don't make a ton of money at first, at least I know I'll be happy doing it.
Right.
So reached out to a Gold's Gym here locally and got a job with them. I wasn't certified at all, never trained a person before in my life besides myself. And they were like, hey, we've seen your come up. We've watched you. You're pretty serious. So if you can get certified within 90 days, we'll keep you on board. So they hired me, got certified, gave me the job, and that's where I hit the ground running with training.
Mm. That was
And
my first training job.
yeah. And I loved it. I learned a ton. It was a private company through Gold's that I worked with, and they taught me a lot on the back end. And I think without them, without that journey, I don't think I would be where I am today, even though I left that job because of some of the things, the way they ran it.
Yeah.
I took the good parts of it and sort of implemented it into what I do now. But learned a ton from them, met a ton of clients through it, networked, and obviously got word of mouth transformations. And realized during that job, though, I had so many clients and I wasn't seeing many of them as often as I'd like to, because they did the selling for me. That company did the packages and whatnot. And that my clients, they would get results, 6, 8 weeks in, 12 weeks in. Oh, damn, down 30 pounds. Damn, feeling good, looking better. Then they would hit coast, or they would start to go backwards because they got to this result, this outcome, and they didn't change the identity, like you've mentioned before. They didn't change the person they wanted to be, or that daily process of the way they were conducting themselves, and they would go backwards. And this yo-yoing of a lot of my clients, it wasn't a physical transformation they needed a mindset change. And the way I was seeing many of these clients, I wasn't able to work with them or dive deep enough into them, because I'd see them for maybe 30, 45 minutes once a week, twice a week.
And you're on the floor coaching them
coaching.
of. It's not, because that's not where you're necessarily talking about that. It's almost like the diet part of it, it's not what you're doing the hour with the trainer.
Yeah.
But kind of like you said, though, that environment is focused on, that's what Gold wants you to see you doing, is out there training clients.
Yep.
So the mindset piece doesn't necessarily factor in or get nurtured.
No, at least the long-term lasting results.
Right.
They want people to get some quick results to be able to sell some more people on it, which it makes tons of money,
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people, I don't know, I lost passion with that because I wouldn't, it was like a run of the mill. People would come in, churn and burn. And there were so many people at this Gold's Gym. It's a huge one that, I was hundreds of new clients probably every couple months that me and 2 other trainers would see. So I lost any type of passion with that, and decided that I needed to go off, do my own thing, and dive deeper into people that I wanted to work with. And after about 7, 8 years working with that company, decided to jump ship, do my own thing, and start my own brand, my own company, and started with my own private gym that I'm in right now, and coach people in person here. And many of the people that I used to work with years ago still work with me on and off, or refer people to me. But and I also focus online with my own private coaching app as well.
Man, so now, did you open the gym, or is it a gym that's already established there?
I opened the gym. It's not a huge gym. It's more of like a smaller private coaching gym,
just where you can train people out of.
Yeah. So no, I've been here about 2.5, 3 years, but I was at one spot before this, and then I moved here to this one.
And what was this process? How was it? Did you what were your anxieties, and give us some mindset of how you overcome the anxieties of entrepreneurship, starting this, taking the chance on yourself?
Yeah.
Because that's a big deal.
Big deal. I think a lot of it was back against the wall. Right after I left that company, I was going to be working with this guy, and I'm grateful for him. I won't mention his name, but he's a professional gamer. He was one of my clients, does very, very well off. And he wanted me to coach him privately.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, you've been doing that job long enough. You're great. Quit it. I'll bring you on full time. Well, you also help me shoot content for my online streaming, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, again, he does very well. And so I was like, all right, screw it. I've been doing that long enough. I feel confident in myself. I know what I'm doing. And I've known this guy for a good amount of time. I'll jump ship. I quit. And about a month in working with him, he's like, hey man, I can't actually work. Like, this isn't actually going to work out. I was like, oh shit, where I just failed on that job. I mean, I didn't like dick him. I gave him the 2 weeks, but
Yeah.
so I didn't want to go back. So back was against the wall, and I was like, all right, well, let me figure out how I can just start training people with what I got. And I
Yeah.
didn't have a gym at the time. I just started freelancing without paying. I just started going into the gyms and hitting people up. Old clients are people that I'd met saying, hey, we met a while back, interested in coaching. What are you working on? And just back against the wall type of thing, just started going into there's a couple Gold's gyms around here, and started training people under the table
Right.
until I got caught, probably like 8 months in, maybe a little bit quicker than that, 6 months in. A couple of the management saw me, and they're often, and they're like, hey, you're training people, right? I was like, yeah, I guess I am. They're like, yeah,
Mm.
you can't do that. So this was right around the time COVID hit too. So gym shut down. I stopped training people, and all the people that I was training in that gym, I hit them up and I was like, hey, there's no need to stop this train. Let's start doing it in your backyards. So I had a couple of people that had big backyards, and they allowed me to train people in their yards. And during COVID was probably one of the busier times of my business,
Wow.
because I was almost mobile with it. I went to Walmart and some of these sporting goods stores, bought a shit ton of weights, medicine balls, sandbags, bands, and I was pulling up in
So it's
people's
kind of like
backyard.
timing, just
Yeah,
for, fortuitous or unfortuitous, however you
yeah,
want to look
yeah.
at it. But, the thing is you were kind of already on it. So the fact that you didn't have a home base almost benefited you, that you almost kind of had to roll with it and just adapt.
I think, yeah, the back against the wall, the timing, and then also me just knowing that I had to do something to pay my bills. Like a lot of people were getting,
Yeah.
still paid from their jobs and whatever, and I didn't have a business or a company I was working for, so I just had to do it. And so was training people in people's backyards. Was doing very well doing that during that time. And I reached out to a friend, or a friend of mine reached out to me, and he was like, hey, I'm thinking about starting up a gym, even though gyms just got shut down. He was like, but I think it's the great time to do it because all these gyms are shutting down. If we can open it up and have it rolling by the time things open back up, I mean, we could really pop it off. And over the months of COVID, me and this guy went around to different machine places that were selling gym equipment. We picked up gym equipment and this U-Haul, storing it in storage units. And he was touring warehouse properties. And we didn't know what we were doing, but we were doing
Yeah.
it, whatever felt right. And knowing that once the gates opened back up, we
Just
would
the
have
right
something
next
in
step.
place. Yeah. So we after a few months of that, maybe 5-6 months of doing that, he found a spot, and we had all this equipment collected, and decided to start building up this warehouse. Started to build hype behind it, with opening up the gym, opening up training again, coaching. And once gyms were able to open back up, or slightly before, we pulled the trigger and started to be the place that, like, oh man, this place is open, and all the
Yeah.
other gyms aren't. So that helped us a lot too. Jumped ahead of everybody, and for probably about 2.5 years, we were at that gym, and that's where I picked back up coaching in person. Really wasn't focused on the online back then either. When I left that old job, I wasn't focused on online coaching at all. I just was coaching people in person because I didn't know I could do it online, and also I had the time to be able to spread myself throughout the day with in-person coaching. After 2 years of there, the guy that I was partnered with at that gym decided he wanted to sell it and move to Colorado. Him and his wife, and it was just a random thing that popped up. They were much younger than me, and they were like, we don't know if we want a gym. Even though the gym was doing well, they decided to sell it, and that put my back against the wall again because I didn't want to go to Colorado. I still wanted to train and coach people.
Yeah.
So I had to find a new spot, and this is where I'm at now. I've been at for about 2.5 years. And just so happens, after they told me that they wanted to sell the gym, about 3 or 4 days of me riding around within the area of the same gym that we just left, I saw warehouse for rent sign. Hit them up, and I was like, all right, that's the new gym. Because I needed some place to take my clients that I was training at that gym. And it was me just sort of back against the wall. Let me just build this whole new gym out. I had to get a credit card, put all this gym equipment on this credit card, build it out, paint it myself, and open it up, just because that's what I had to do. I mean, I think me for years, at least going on seven-ish years, 8 years of not working for somebody else, like, you just got to do what you got to do, and nothing's certain. The path illuminates as you walk it, pretty much. You start taking forward steps, you realize either it's the right way or it's the wrong way, and you don't know until you start taking those steps. And for me, fortunately, most of the steps I've taken thus far have been towards the right way, it seems like. And it takes like time, intuition, a sense of like doing it, trying it enough to realize, all right, this feels like it's going in the right direction. For anybody
Yeah.
that's listening to this and being
You
like,
gotta
oh,
you
how
get
did he know?
you gotta build trust in yourself, I guess,
Yeah.
trust in your decisions. And then also I got a trust in when to pull the chocks and be like, hey, scrap this, or this
Yep.
is the wrong direction, and go ahead and pivot. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, for example, during this time, I had a supplement company. Me and my brother, we partnered back in 2016 ish, built the supplement company out, and we're selling thousands of units of product, of supplements. And that, through a few bad decisions, bad steps, sunk a ton of money into it, tons of money into it, and had to end up shutting that down and lost a ton of money, thousands
yeah,
thousands of dollars, not six figures, but a lot of money, in that. And that was a learning lesson, because I learned a lot through that, that has helped build the business that I'm in now. But I, I needed that failure to learn a lot as well.
yeah. So, like you said, kind of like COVID, you were able to kind of keep people physically going and physical. When did you start kind of mapping out the mindset portion of like your program essentially? And what were you doing to challenge yourself during this time? You mentioned competing in bodybuilding. Do you do any, have you tried any ultra marathons, triathlons, any
Yeah.
crazy things like that? As you're kind of going through these different stages of entrepreneurship and, redefining kind of almost yourself each time.
Yes. So I noticed during those bodybuilding competition days that I did a couple in 2013, and I did one. My last competition was 2018. And the 2018 one was on a bet. I didn't even really want to do it, but it was on a bet with a business partner of mine in that supplement company, at the time, and he bet me to do it. Nonetheless, I noticed during those eras, or during those periods of my life, when I had a lot on my plate and I was very disciplined in those areas, especially my physical and mental discipline of food, training, having a schedule, taking accountability of my time and my day. Because when you're doing all that stuff, and on top of doing 2 to 3 jobs, you can't just wake up and wing it. You need some type of, you need structure.
Yeah,
If
it's
I
got
mean,
to
you
be
might be able to wing it.
deliberate. It's got to be
Yes.
intentional and deliberate. Like I track habits, and it was kind of like when I did the giving. It's like I never knew what was going to be required each day, because some days he's going to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and ask you questions. Some days are more so. Everything you have habit wise, you have to get done when you can and as soon as possible to make sure it gets done. Otherwise, it's not going to get done. And you can't
Yes.
like waste time on it, because your main thing that you do might require a lot more from you today than it did yesterday. But it's going to
Dude,
take everything you got. I can assure you that. And every
dude.
day you're going to be like, well, how did I make it through this day? And man, I got another one of these tomorrow. I sure hope it's better than this one.
Yeah. And I think, you know, uh, like you were saying, having that uncertainty of like what could pop up later in the day, and that's
Yeah.
for anybody. We all have a schedule of what tomorrow is going to look like, but it's probably not going to go as planned. It never typically does. There's always
Yeah.
going to be something that takes longer, that
One
maybe
extra
didn't.
thing, the
Yeah,
AC goes out.
yeah, and the more, not that you have to have everything planned out and militant, but you need to have some type of plan and some type of structure and backwards planning of the day, or your life, your schedule, that is going to help you be accountable to what's important and what's going to move the needle forward. And for me, there's a lot of things that I can't control, and there's a lot of things I can control. And I think that's where the mindset for me and training and a perspective comes in, is controlling the things that we can control. We can control our wake up time. We can control what we put into our body, what we drink, what we
Hmm.
eat, who we hang out with, who we listen to. These are a lot of things that we
Yeah.
can control. There's a lot of things you can't control either. And those things you can't, once you determine yes or no, if it's something you can't, try not to focus on it. I mean, obviously there's some things you still have to, but
Yeah.
we all have obligations and demands of our day. But if you can double down on the things you can control that move that needle 1% forward, whatever that may be, everybody has different goals. You're able to get progress and build momentum with yourself, which in return brings results and fuels your soul per se. Progress always fuels everybody. If you're making progress in some form or fashion, you feel good. If you aren't taking forward steps, you're not going to have rainbows and butterflies every day. You're going to have a few rainy days, but if you aren't taking any steps forward at all, and you're just doing thinking and hoping and wishing, you're not going to feel good. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel aimless. So having some type of structure or guide for your day of things that you can't control, and like an actionable list
Hmm.
of things, whatever that may be, and it's person to person that it changes, and you can knock those things out. You start to build confidence, and you start to build wins within you. You start to build that confidence and belief in yourself that we talked about earlier. And for me, I think during those times of competing, I felt that much more honed in, sharper, more confidence built, and momentum's a real thing for me. I think, if I start to build momentum in other areas, especially those physical and mental aspects of like my diet, not that it's all like boring and bland, but like controlling what food goes in me, how I'm fueling my body, how I'm building my mind, whether I'm reading, trying to learn something, or focus on things that are going to move me forward, or am I focused on gossip, drama, bullshit on social media, which we can all be a trap to, but trying to limit that and notice when, being aware of when you're doing that, when you need to get back on goal. Uh, it's a skill. All those things are skills, and we aren't born with them. They're cultivated, they're sharpened, and created through daily awareness and a daily plan, a daily process that keeps you aligned and outside of those ditches.
Man. Yeah.
It's
So,
easier said than done. I still fall off. I'm not perfect.
yeah, it's, um, yeah, you were talking about that. So doing additional things. Um, Now with your coaching, since you have the studio and you offer in person, you have people come by and whatnot. Um, you have both physical and mindset. Is it two separate things, one together? Like, can people, like I'm in Texas and of course I can't show up there physically, but I can go to my gym and train. How
Yeah.
does that work? Do you offer just kind of like mindset programs for people?
Yes.
Um,
So how it works now and how I have it set up is within my private coaching app, we have like group calls, team calls twice a
hmm.
week on Wednesdays and Sundays. And this is an opportunity for all of us to get together, ask questions, talk about wins, talk about losses, talk about things we're struggling with, hurdles that we're trying to work through. And I might not always have the perfect answer, or I might not have the answer that is going to connect with you or with Tom, Dick, or Harry.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else is going through something similar in a similar point in life or journey that you're in, whether it's, working around kids, family issues, work, career things. There's multifaceted of people that are in these groups
Hmm.
that they're able to be like, okay, yeah, I've been trying to do this and it's been working for me, and that's going to connect a lot better than maybe coming from
Yeah.
me, and that's a part of the app that I try and implement with those twice a week calls. And within that group app, I have non-negotiables, or like a daily actionable list of things that we can control. We can try to at least be aware of them. That builds the new identity, reaffirms the intention of the day, builds purpose back into your days, builds your days to build you. And I think the mindset and physical aspect go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. The physical activity, the physical exertion, the physical adversity of a hard training session or an intense workout builds and sharpens your mind. because it pushes you outside of that comfort zone and sharpens it because you followed through on something tough. And when you finish a hard workout or something strenuous, whether it is a ruck or a heavy lift or a marathon, you always feel
But
high. You feel great. You feel confident after that. You feel like you can walk through walls. You never, typically, you never finish a workout feeling worse.
this is true.
Yeah,
You never regret going.
100%. You only regret when you miss, typically.
Ah, man. Yeah. So, what's been the most rewarding part about this other kind of new endeavor of the mindset thing and connecting with people outside the studio and outside of the in person? Because typically you've kind of had this model, and of course, COVID shifted that for all of us.
Yeah,
But really, for you, kind of like you said, um, you saw this as the important factor of what was either long-term success for your clients and or coasting and kind of
yeah.
going back. Um, so what's been the most rewarding part of kind of this new endeavor, and what have you learned something about yourself in the process of shifting kind of this way or in thinking this is important and cultivating it and building it?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of selfishness. I get purpose, I get passion from it. It gives me something to focus on, something to do. And I become an example of it. And that's what it's like a cycle for me. I'm only as a saying that I have here on the wall. We are only as good as the example we set. And if not me, then who? Who's going to be the example? Who's going to be the leader? And that's something that I try and keep in the back of my mind when I'm trying to cut a corner or when nobody's watching. What am I doing? Again, I'm no saint. There's many times where I fall off, I slip, I miss, I get lazy. But realizing that we're here to be, are your actions or my actions daily inspiring somebody or pulling them backwards, giving them a bad example? I think that's something that I get fulfillment out and have learned to love about this process and being a coach, a leader, and somebody that I would want, that somebody that I needed back when I was younger.
Hmm.
But I think also at the same level, me seeing many of these people come in with self-limiting beliefs and were very not destructive habits, but habits that were leading me kind of down the same place as far as drinking, drugs. There's quite a few people in my group that are in recovery, that are in
Yeah.
sobriety, which is awesome. That's killer. That's huge self mastery in itself. That's huge mindset training in itself. Of being able to say no to you. That's the
Yes.
toughest thing to do. Being able to say
Believe
no
me.
to yourself.
I hit 2 years no alcohol June 22nd, and I was like, yeah. And that's like the second time I've done it, and it's like,
Yeah,
like you said it right, saying no to yourself.
yeah,
That bad
uh,
part of you, F you, man, get out of
yeah,
here.
dude.
You
And,
don't
and
want
for
the best
me,
for me.
yeah, 100%, man. And it takes, it's not bad for everybody, right? Like,
Yeah, no, I say if you can do it responsibly, I
yeah,
can't, so I don't. Right?
yeah.
It's like the same person, some people like sweet, some people like savory, some people have no trouble saying no to cake.
Yeah.
They don't like certain. I'm not a big fan of chocolate. I prefer caramel, so I don't
Hell yeah.
have like problems turning down a chocolate bar, or chocolate cake. Um, and but the same, I guess, for food is same for alcohol. I can't do it, and if you can do it and you can do it responsibly, then good for you, and
A hundred
I
percent,
I
man.
applaud you.
Yeah. I mean, even with the food, for myself, getting off on the sidetrack tangent a little bit, like I still enjoy plenty of sweets, indulging from time to
Yeah,
time, eating some bullshit, some junk food. But I think over time, I mentioned like these skills that we can develop, a skill of saying no. I think saying no is a skill. You get better at it the more you do it.
yeah,
The less you do it and the more you let things slide, the more that skill dulls and you're like, it doesn't really matter today. I'll just do one, whatever. Think you can let that door crack open and it becomes opening up Pandora's box. But for me, over time, I've developed a sense of, again, it's not that I don't live life, eat
yeah,
out, do this stuff, but the bulk of my day is I try and focus it around purpose and like, is this serving me or is it not? Is it serving the person I want to become or not? And again, I'm not perfect. I'm not saying that in some saint,
Yeah.
Greek god, I'm better than anybody else. But that is something I have in the back of my head before I try and indulge or do something that I'm
Yeah.
questioning a little bit. Is like, all right, is this thing going to serve me or not? Am I spinning my wheels? Am I effing around?
I told my daughter, I go, well, she, her and my mom and my wife, they're all like shopping for school and they went out of town and I was talking about getting good sleep and I go, this is going to determine how your day is going to be tomorrow,
Yeah.
around grandma and mom and how much you're going to enjoy it. And I remember telling her, I go, the decision you make today is
Yes.
for tomorrow, determines your tomorrow. And that's not
Yes.
just for sleep, it's for a lot of things.
Yes. 100%, man. Uh, yeah, what we do today is definitely the result or the thing we might get tomorrow. I like that. But I think fulfillment overall is seeing a lot of these guys that did come from lost or aimless days of like, being productive, taking care of the bills, taking care of life, paying their taxes, but like not having any sense of like fire in their days, purpose. And I think if you lack purpose or passion, you don't have like, oh, I see Johnny over there. He's got this thing he's working on with his job or his career. He's so fired up when he wakes up every day to do
Yeah,
that. Why don't I have something like that? You do. It's you. You can start with you, right?
you do. Well, you
You
should.
yeah,
You
you
should.
should. Like the best place to start if you're aimless, you don't know where to start with you.
You need to be your own
What
damn friend. Like somebody said, and I have to get better at this. I mean, this is something I have to work on immensely. Is like, if I drank, I would buy me a beer. I like you because I always say go out and be the kind of person that you want to meet, and
100%. Yeah.
hey, it's like, am I the kind of person? And I can openly admit, like on my Unfiltered Friday, some days I am, and some days you don't want to fucking meet me. I'm an asshole. So,
Me too.
and so it's kind of that thing, but,
Yeah.
um, kind of what I wanted to ask you, you're around a lot of men, and different. What are the concerns for men these days of kind of all ages? I'm 49. And the men you work with, like, as it relates to kind of this identity or whatever, I don't know what you want to call it, purpose, the
Yeah.
requirements for men nowadays, what's important. I mean, women can make, I have three daughters. Women can make their own money. They don't need a man. So
Yes.
that's fine. But that changes what a man thinks he needs to provide. But what are
Yeah.
you seeing with your interactions? What are the concerns of today's men that you're around?
I think a lot of guys think that they or it's either too late to start or where they why even invest into myself? It's vanity. Trying to build yourself
I
or
say longevity. I relate it to just look at what happened to the floods. I'm in Texas, and you talk about men who were maybe they perished, but they were able to save their families, and that's from an
yes.
inherent strength. People were able to save other people. I relate it. I got a massage yesterday, and I like the massage therapist and I were talking. I go, can if your house catches on fire, can you take your wife and kids out? Can you pick them up? When I was a
Yeah.
live-in caregiver and this guy was bedbound, that's a real fucking concern. If you get a flood, a tornado, an electrical fire, the house starts filling up with smoke, can you get this person out? Are you physically capable?
Yeah. I mean, there's a famous quote, and I'm gonna give him the credit, but it's something that I remind my clients, especially the males, the guys, the men that are in my group, and even guys that are reaching out to me. They're talking about, I want to, but I don't either have the time. They bring up any self-limiting belief that that there's a lot of things you can control within your day to start creating time, and it doesn't have to be hours in the gym. It doesn't have to be
Mm-mm.
perfect on your food. It's just all about having the conscious awareness of building yourself into the person or
Better.
the man you would admire, the person you'd want to hang out with or attract. But the saying is, strength's never a weakness, and weakness is never a strength. And it's by Mark Bell. He's a
Yeah,
famous power lifter.
I know.
But that's probably the gold standard for anything that I would probably see with a problem with men and culture is allowing themselves not to be the better version of themselves and not living a lesser version of themselves and saying, oh, it's not for me, or I don't need to, it's not important. But what type of example are you setting for either your kids, your spouse, or the men around you?
Or
Are
even
you inspiring
society
them?
makes us feel bad about wanting to be a better version. They call it toxic or this or that. It's like,
Oh yeah,
well,
get out
no,
of here.
well, but my thing is this is um all I don't know. Don't confuse toxic masculinity for people who just fucking set boundaries and have some self-respect. And I
Yep.
know because I've been a people pleaser my whole life. And the moment you set a boundary, you're a fucking problem. As long as you
Uh,
go along to get along with everyone and they can use you to their advantage and
yeah.
you serve their purpose and you don't make any waves, you're fine. But I feel like I've probably been in trouble with every job for mouth. I just get to a point where I just have to call bullshit on bullshit,
Yeah.
and it makes everybody mad when you tell the truth.
It does, but it sets you free. And I think, a lot of that, whether it hurts feelings or not, the truth is empowering. As long as you know it deep down, it's the truth. And your intent is that way.
When I
It
quit
empowers
drinking, I had to, it was fucking, yes, I had to understand I'm the fucking problem.
you. Yeah. Yeah. But I get it though. A lot of people, they get uncomfortable when you start talking about making different decisions, conducting yourself differently, and or setting a
Yeah.
standard, like you're saying. And I think I have to remind. I just had one of the females that are in my group, the women. I've reminded her because she has a lot of people that she works around, coworkers that put things on her. Her kids who are grown,
Hmm.
have a lot of demand for her still. And I'm like, take care of everybody. Obviously, you care about your kids, you care about your job, blah blah blah. But you have to be at some point selfish to be selfless. If you aren't taking care of yourself first, when the mask drops down, if you're not putting your mask on, take care of yourself, you won't be able to help others. And you think you are, but you're only putting yourself in the back burner, making your life deteriorate more and more, and being unhappy with yourself. And this happens to a lot of people. Life obligations, you end up putting yourself on the back burner and not making time for you or putting yourself in the seat. And life can take from you quick. And next thing you know, you're feeling like, what's the point? You miss that fire in yourself and you stop showing up for yourself. You stop liking the way you look, the way you feel, the way you talk to yourself. And I think if you can start to make those boundaries and be a little bit more selfish with your time, your
Hmm.
actions, your life, not to say F everybody, but, putting yourself first. And once you handle yourself, you're able to help others that much better.
All right. Well, what's one question I didn't ask you that you wish I had?
Hmm. I don't know, man. We talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely asked some good questions.
Or what's one thing that you would leave the audience with that's, I don't know, maybe it
Yeah,
could be from somebody else. Maybe
for
you
sure.
you could shout out even maybe somebody who's changed your life for the better.
Yeah. I wanted to talk real quick, circle back, and this is what I can leave people with is an analogy that I got from a guy called, his name is Sal Frisella. And he was talking about this this success arch or arc.
Hmm.
And it's all about doing what you know you should be doing today, to depositing those seeds, those things like you were saying, getting that extra sleep tonight to make tomorrow better, eating those meals today so in 30, 60, 90 days you're looking better, doing that workout today,
Hmm.
knowing that over time compounding you're going to feel better tomorrow, you're better than yesterday type of deal. And this process or this success arch is planting the seeds now in faith, knowing everybody knows what they probably should be doing more of, doing less of. Planting those seeds today, one day at a time, almost like planting that seed of corn, watering it, nurturing it, giving awareness, giving attention, giving it what it needs, like you would need with whatever goal you have. And over the first 12, 14 days, you don't see shit. You don't see any results. You don't see any progress with yourself or whatever you're working on. But you do it in faith, knowing that this is what I know I should be doing. And then next thing you know, 2 weeks in, 21 days in, you start to see something ground or green pop out the ground. And those results start to speed up as that compounding effect of those daily deposits, whether it's getting that workout in, reaching out, sending that email, drinking less, eating out less, whatever those things are, doing it, even though you don't see the result today immediately, doing it knowing in 30, 60, 90 days that the results will come because you were doing the work today. It's all about, like you mentioned earlier, it takes daily deposits. And it's not what we do with yesterday because we can't change yesterday. It's not what we are going to do tomorrow because it's not here. It's what we do today. That's all we've got.
Man, that's right. Well, that sounds like a perfect place to end. And like I tell everybody, the call to action is go out and be the person that you would want to meet. And if you're looking for a strong circle, check your corners. All right, man. I'll
All
talk
right.
to you later.
Thank you, Richard. See you,
All right.
brother.
Bye.
Let go. Asteroid of fear.